Welcome to ePathshala. Myself Richa, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Political Science in MCM DAV College, Chandigarh. Today I will discuss about the topic Constitution and Constitutionalism. Constitution, we can say that it is the legal law of the land. It is the supreme law of the land, and obviously it is the individual is not a supreme, but a constitution is considered, a law is considered to be a supreme power. Constitutionalism is basically, it tells us about the working of the various forms according to the constitution. Constitutional tells us about it also tells us about the liberty, equality and fraternity. Constitutionalism tells us about how power is used. So we can say that they are, constitutionalism and constitution are related to each other.
Objectives: to understand the meaning of constitution, to be familiar with the principles of constitutional government, to know the importance in the way of constitutional government, and to understand the causes and failures of the constitutional government in developing countries. So, growth of constitutionalism. Constitutionalism has a long history. We can trace the growth of constitutionalism to the Greek and the Romans. Plato was against the idea of constitutional government, but his disciples, Aristotle, has faith in constitutionalism. Aristotle believed in limiting the authority of the government. The Romans laid down the principle of representations, codifying the laws and laying the ground for law, both civil and criminal. They strengthened the idea of constitutionalism by separation as well as distribution of powers. After the fall of the Roman Empire, the world was eclipsed by feudalism, which was characterized by disintegration and degeneration. But Christianity and its universalism provided a new way to the world. The Pope supremacy led to the services of the monarch. France, Spain, England were the countries which challenged the authority of the Pope and developed the idea of constitutionalism. The Renaissance and the Reformation movement gave a big impetus to constitutionalism. These ages were characterized by rationality, reasoning, and a secular outlook. In England, the Glorious Revolution of 1688 was the first step to usher in constitutionalism and put it on firm footing. The powers of the king were reduced and the parliamentary form of government became deeply entrenched. In USA, the American Declaration of Independence of 1776 declared that all men are equal, and when any government does not respect the individuals, then the latter have the right to challenge it, change it and remove it. In France, Declaration of the Rights of Man tried to establish constitutional government by declaring that men are born and equal in rights, and the aim of every political association is the reservation of practical and impracticable of the rights of man. Thus, these Western countries have helped in evolving and cementing the spirit of constitutionalism. Constitutional government in developing countries. In the developing countries, there are instances where there are many governments that have flouted the norms of their respective constitutions, but these are encompasses example of government which have functioned according to the decades of their constitution. The developing countries in Asia, Africa and Latin America are besotted by too many problems. Having a colonial past has not helped much. As soon as a country declares itself independent, a certain set of leaders take over the reign of the country. The struggle that they have led for independence has to be converted into a struggle to pull out the country from the malaise of poverty, hunger, deprivation, as well as the evils left by the colonial masters. Every country has the peculiarity of funds vis-a-vis the problem it faces. Finance is required for everything. Moreover, the people do not understand the nature and extent of the problems. They were shown a vision and they just want its fulfillment. The successive leaders at times do not have the knowledge, skill, and the urge to serve the people. They are more bothered about their petty interest, retaining their seats, encouraging their family members, and enter the political arena, or busy consolidating their gains. This leads to the people getting frustrated. A section of the people take advantage of the situation and either manage a coup, overthrow the elected government by means that are not considered fair. The constitution is brushed aside and the leaders rule by their own whip. There is scant regard for the constitution or the ideals that are professed by it. Thus, in the developing countries, we have many examples of governments that are constitutional and many that are non-constitutional. Usually, wherever the constitutional government fails to take off or maintain its legality, the military, led by a leader with a great vision, take over. Constitutional government is not guaranteed if a country is casually introduced to universal adult franchise, elections, political parties, rule of law, parliament, and a constitution. These ingredients go vital to democracy and to the constitution and have to be well ingrained into the political system. Unfortunately, in the developing countries, these countries have not been able to penetrate deep into the political system. It is evident that a building to house what looks like a parliament does not in fact create a parliament. Still, less does it create the most difficult and subtle of all Western political devices, a legal opposition. In most of these countries, constitution exists, is codified, and lot of effort has gone into framing the constitution, but it has not been absorbed by the country political culture. The constitution in most of the electorate as a whole, who do not at times even know about the sanctity and importance. The constitution are just not taken seriously. Probably the failure of the constitutional government is also because there are too many structures in these traditional societies that cannot be assimilated or incorporated in the formal constitution. We have the example of the ombudsman, the grievance officer, who are a great asset in a Western political system, but have not found many takers in the political system of the developing countries. The significance that ombudsman has in Asia is that he has an important public face, while it is interesting that the officers of the Japanese Inspection Bureau, who are in effect those who deal with the problem and grievances, receive matters and requests rather than complaints. In the developing countries, personal links face law as a means of obtaining their rights, and the VIP are major determinants to the effective functioning of the constitutional government. In the developing countries, the government is limited as dictated by the constitution, but in fact ground reality differs. The government assumes power, promising to enjoy only those powers granted to it by the constitution, but many flout constitutional norms once in power. They stop being accountable to people or to any other body, for example, the judiciary, and go out of the way to suppress it and go around it. In many countries, the government elected for a limited tenure extend its tenure with the help of unconstitutional means. The case of Asia. The countries which were a colony of British were most successful in the experiment of constitutional government than their counterparts which were colonies of the French. In Asia and Africa and in Caribbean, the former colonies of Britain such as India, Nigeria, Zambia, etc. have been more successful in operating a constitutional government than the former colonies of continental European power. The British colonialism was of much mild vanity and, in a way, fostered the growth of democratic institutions in the colonies. When, therefore, these colonies gained their independence, they had each functioning democratic apparatus and also maintained in them. Besides a few countries like India, most of the country could not maintain the spirit of constitutional government for a long time, and these were long pauses. The Constitution of India came into existence on January 26, 1950, after debates and much discussion. The government is limited, rule of law prevails, and the government is elected by the citizen of country. The precedents of the Constitution, the Government Acts of 1909, 1919 and 1935 had emphasized the need for having a constitutional government in India. Dr. Ambedkar, who contributed immensely to the framing of the Constitution, believed in constitutional democracy. As a liberal thinker, Ambedkar was a hardcore believer in the value of constitutional democracy, having irrevocable elements of social and economic democracies, in addition to political democracy. He was impressed by the concept of rule of law, which helped in establishing equality, justice, and stability. Except the period of emergency in India, the government have proved themselves to be constitutional government. With periodic elections, limited government, accountability to the people, and limited tenure, India has managed to nurture constitutional government despite the occasional hiccups of caste, language, religion, and region. Pakistan, India's immediate neighbor, has not been so fortunate. Pakistan took birth on August 14, 1947, but could not continue for long as a constitutional democratic government because of high ambitions of its leader, military generals, etc. Though the Qadi Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah advocated the compatibility of democracy and Islamic principles. These successors did not seem to agree. He behaved that the ideological structure of Islam world view was conducive to democracy. Yet, Liaquat Ali Khan, the first Prime Minister of Pakistan, was assassinated in 1951. Pakistan got its first constitution in 1956. The then President Sikandar Mirza suspended the 1956 constitution in 1959. In Pakistan, the founding leaders believed that sovereignty was with the Almighty alone. The authority of the people was a sacred trust from Allah to be described within the limit prescribed by Him. But despite all the limitations, there have been too many violations. Sikandar Mirza did all this with the support of the army. General Muhammad Ayub Khan exiled Sikandar Mirza and the former controlled the government. Ayub Khan ruled for 10 years, citing different reasons till he was deposed by General Yahya Khan. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto came to power in 1971, but the military intervened and General Zia-ul Haq seized power and ruled without the parliament or people verdict. In 2000, General Pervez Musharraf overthrew the elected government and ruled till 2007. Bangladesh took birth as a nation on December 16, 1971. The constitution included features like secularism, democracy, nationalism, and socialism, besides giving the people fundamental rights. President Mujibur Rahman was assassinated on August 15, 1975, and the army with the military general ruled Bangladesh for the next 15 years, that is up to 1990. The authoritarian rule sapped at the nation's strength and curbed people's freedom. Lieutenant General Ziaur Rahman assumed power through a military coup in 1977 and was then assassinated in 1981. He was succeeded by Lieutenant General Hussain Muhammad Irshad in 1982 and ruled arbitrarily till December 1990. The tussle for power continues. The military tried to step in 2007, but the Awami League won the election in 2009. The civilian government are trying hard to establish a constitutional government, and Bangladesh is rambling towards the idea of constitutional government. In Burma, the Burmese armies is not a constitutional government. There is no respect for rule of law, freedom of the people, and the opposition is suppressed. Aung San Suu Kyi, the principal opposition leader, was placed under house arrest for many years. The government, comprising of military generals, wrote a new constitution and ruled by the ever-changing rulers. Turkmenistan adopted a new constitution in 1992 with all the provisions of rights for its citizens. One of the breakaway republics of the erstwhile USSR, it soon degenerated into a personal fiefdom of President Sampha Murat Niyaz, ruled by decree by bypassing the legislature. A one-man dictatorship elections were a farce and he was accountable to none. He remained the month for a year after his family members and banished descendants to mental hospital. President Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, who was re-elected in Turkmenistan in 2012, continued to rule, keeping constitutional norms at bay. Life imprisonment is given liberally and prominent leaders are not traceable. The internet is heavily regulated and any opposition to the government is considered treason. Thailand is controlled by a military junta. The ruling party, whose name is ironically National Council for Peace and Order, has persecuted all critiques. The media is censored and all the discussions and debates are prevented. Nepal, once a monarchy, has modified itself with the changing time, though the going has been very tough. King Mahendra ascended the throne in 1955 and bypassed the Council of Ministers. Elections were held in February 1959, but the king dismissed the first popularly elected Prime Minister, B.R. Koirala, in 1960. He banned opposition. After his death, his son King Birinder ascended the throne but organized the Back to the Village national campaign. It was only a play to control all political parties. The Jan Andolan of 1990 challenged the power of the king, which resulted in the king conceded many concessions to the people. His brother, King Gayendra, came to the throne in 2001 after the assassination of his brother King Birendra. King Gayendra dismissed whatever rights the people had attained after a long struggle. But after large-scale protest, he had to resign in 2006 and relinquish powers. Nepal is in the midst of adjusting itself to a new constitution. The government in Nepal is trying to accommodate various groups and interests. Thus, it can be called a constitutional government, for it is adhering to the constitution which was adopted on September 20, 2015. Sri Lanka is one country that remained embroiled in the civil war for many decades. The liberation of Tamil Tiger Elam spearheaded a campaign against the government for depriving the Tamil population of equal rights from the Sinhalese population. The government then ruled by coercion and force. Rule of law and constitutional norms were ignored. But after the decades of efforts, the government has managed to wipe off the liberation of Tamil Tiger Elam and the endeavors to maintain the sanctity and legality of the constitutional government. President Abdul Gayoom ruled Maldives for 30 years, since 1978, without holding elections or answerable to the people. He repressed people, silenced critique, and brutally killed people. The MDP, led by Mohammad Nasheed, won the elections in October 2008, but the judiciary which was connected to the old regime, created hurdles in his path that he was forced to step down. Nasheed was arrested and imprisoned for 13 years. Constitutional government in Africa. Many countries of African continent ruled by customs and traditions have not taken very kindly to the idea of a constitution and constitutional government. The idea of kinship, tribes, hierarchy is deep-rooted, which leads to the right power structure and control in the hands of few. Burundi under President Nkurunziza remained isolated from all constitutional norm when the president decided to continue in power for the third tenure. When the opposition protested, they suppressed all dissent and protest. President Joseph Kabila got a bill passed in Congo to remain in power indefinitely. Hosni Mubarak of Egypt, who was ousted for power in 2011 during the Arab Spring, ruled the country since 1980 without holding elections. Keeping the constitution aside, he has his own logic and reason. His blood geoned his way through all legislation. In Liberia, Charles Taylor ruled till 2003, denying the people the basic right. Consecration of children below 15 years, torture, detention, and suppression of dissent was a norm till he was imprisoned and sentenced to 50 years in prison. One dictator is replaced by another who is equally, if not worse. The constitution and all its norms are freely violated with no rational reason or logic.
So in the end, I can conclude that the constitution is a holy document, and obviously a constitution plays a vital role and it is considered as the supreme law of the land. But constitution does not play, it takes a very long journey in a developing society, because there are so many issues which are emerging in a developing societies, like politicizations and poverty. And obviously there is a constitutional breakdown of the machinery as well as the stability of the government. These are the issues which plays a very important role in a developing societies. And obviously the strong constitution or a strong government will emerge where there is a strong opinion exists. So it will take more time, and it will take, I think, a long journey for the developing society to adopt a good constitution. Thank you.